Some people double their income and stay broke. You know someone like this. Maybe it's a friend who finally landed the promotion they spent years chasing. Maybe it's a coworker whose salary keeps climbing while their stress somehow climbs with it. Maybe, if you're honest, maybe it's you. Because there comes a point where the story stops making sense. You earn more than you did 5 years ago. You work harder than you did 5 years ago. You know more than you did 5 years ago. Yet financial freedom still feels strangely far away. That's the contradiction nobody prepares you for. Making more money and becoming rich are not the same thing. In fact, one can happen without the other. And that's where things get uncomfortable, because if income alone doesn't create wealth, then what exactly have you been chasing? For years, people are told that the solution is simple. Earn more, get promoted, start a side hustle, increase your income. But what if the very thing you've been treating as the answer is only part of the equation? What if there is an invisible force that determines whether extra income becomes wealth or disappears without changing your life at all? Because that force is shaping your future right now, whether you notice it or not. Here's what's fascinating. Most people think wealth is created when money enters your life. It isn't. Wealth is often created by what happens after the money arrives. That's where the real story begins. Imagine two people, David and Michael. Same age, same city, same career field. After years of effort, both finally receive a major raise. The kind of raise they use to dream about. The kind that makes them feel like they're finally getting ahead. For a few weeks, both are excited. Both celebrate. Both feel optimistic. But then something subtle happens. David begins upgrading his life. Not dramatically, just enough to match his new income. A better apartment, a newer car, more nights out, higher monthly payments, more convenience. Everything feels reasonable. Everything feels deserved. And that's why he never questions it. Michael experiences the same raise. But instead of asking, "What can I upgrade?" he asks, "What can I keep?" It's a strange question, almost boring, but it changes everything. Because while David is expanding his lifestyle, Michael is expanding his options. One is spending the raise before fully receiving it. The other is protecting it. 5 years later, their lives look completely different, and from the outside, it appears unfair. People assume Michael must have found some secret strategy, but the truth is much less exciting and much more powerful. The difference started with a mindset, not a paycheck. That's the part most people miss, because the human brain adapts unbelievably fast. What feels exciting today becomes normal tomorrow. The raise that once felt life-changing eventually feels expected. The bigger apartment becomes ordinary. The newer car becomes familiar. The upgraded lifestyle becomes the baseline. And then something dangerous happens. You need even more money just to feel the same satisfaction. It's like running on a treadmill that quietly speeds up every year. You're moving faster, working harder, earning more, but somehow staying in the same place. That's why many high-income earners feel trapped. Not because they lack money, because their lifestyle learned how to consume every increase. And the scary part is that this process feels like progress while it's happening. Nobody wakes up and says, "I'm going to inflate my lifestyle until my future disappears." It happens gradually, one decision at a time, one upgrade at a time, one justification at a time, which raises an uncomfortable question. If making more money isn't enough, then what actually separates income from wealth? The answer starts with understanding what rich people see differently. Most people see income as permission. Permission to spend, permission to upgrade, permission to reward themselves. Wealthy thinkers often see income as responsibility. Responsibility to create future freedom. That single difference changes hundreds of decisions. And hundreds of decisions create entirely different lives. Here's something you may never have heard framed this way. Income is not wealth. Income is potential wealth. There's a huge difference. Potential means possibility, not certainty. A seed has the potential to become a tree. That doesn't guarantee it will. Money works the same way. A larger paycheck creates opportunity. What happens next determines whether that opportunity grows or disappears. Now let's introduce another contrast. Two people receive an unexpected bonus. Same amount, same circumstances. The first person immediately starts thinking about what they can buy. The second person starts thinking about what this money can become. One sees consumption, the other sees transformation. Same dollars, different future. This is where mindset quietly takes control, because every financial decision contains a hidden question. Do you want a better present or a better future? Most people answer without realizing they're answering. That's why short-term satisfaction often wins. It's visible, immediate, emotional. Future freedom is different. You can't touch it today. You can't show it off tomorrow. You can't post it online. It requires patience, and patience is becoming increasingly rare. especially in a world designed to make waiting feel painful. Yet wealthy people often develop a skill that changes everything. They learn how to value future benefits more than present excitement, not because they're smarter, not because they're luckier, because they understand something most people don't. Every dollar you spend today has two prices: the price you see immediately and the future opportunity you never get to see. One is visible, the other is invisible. And invisible costs are often the most expensive, which brings us to the question hiding underneath this entire conversation. If the real problem isn't earning more money, what psychological habit causes so many people to turn higher income into the exact same financial life with a different price tag? The psychological habit is surprisingly simple. People confuse earning money with keeping power, and those are not the same thing. Money only becomes powerful when it creates choices. Without choices, a higher income is often just a more expensive lifestyle. Think about someone carrying water in a bucket with holes in the bottom. Their solution is to pour in more water, more effort, more energy, more income. For a while, the bucket looks fuller. Then the water leaks out. So they work harder and pour in even more. The cycle repeats. The problem was never the amount of water. The problem was the holes. That's what happens financially. Many people spend years trying to increase income without repairing the habits that drain it. And because income feels measurable, it's easy to focus on. Habits are harder. They require honesty, awareness, patience. But habits determine whether money stays or disappears. That's the revelation. Rich people don't necessarily earn money differently. They often manage opportunity differently. They understand that every dollar can do one of two things. It can improve today's lifestyle, or it can improve tomorrow's flexibility. Both have value. The danger comes when today's lifestyle wins every time, because then income grows while freedom stays frozen. This explains something that confuses a lot of people. Why do some individuals earning modest incomes quietly build wealth while some high earners remain financially stressed? The answer is rarely found in the paycheck. It's found in the gap between what comes in and what immediately goes out. That gap is where wealth lives, and protecting that gap requires a mindset most people never develop. The mindset of delayed ownership. Most people believe they own something when they buy it. Wealthy thinkers often believe they own something when it stops owning them. That's a completely different way of seeing the world. The expensive car isn't just transportation, it's future obligations. The larger house isn't just space, it's future commitments. The upgraded lifestyle isn't just comfort, it's future dependency. Now, none of those things are inherently bad. That's important. The goal isn't deprivation. The goal is awareness, because the same purchase can be either empowering or limiting depending on the reason behind it. And that's where the real shift begins. The people who eventually become wealthy often stop asking emotional questions. Questions like, what do I feel like buying? What do I deserve? What will impress people? Instead, they gradually start asking strategic questions. What does this decision make possible later? That question changes everything. Because suddenly, money stops being a reward system and starts becoming a freedom system. And freedom compounds. The first time you save money, it doesn't feel dramatic. The first investment doesn't change your life. The first responsible decision rarely feels exciting. That's another trap. People expect wealth building to feel rewarding immediately. Usually it doesn't, at least not in the beginning. At first, it feels invisible, like planting seeds in soil and seeing nothing happen. Days pass, weeks pass, nothing seems different. That's the moment most people quit. Because humans naturally crave visible progress. But wealth grows underground before it becomes visible above ground, just like roots. And the people who understand this gain a massive advantage, not because they're more intelligent, because they're willing to trust a process before seeing evidence. That's rare, very rare, which brings us back to David and Michael. Remember them? Same income increase, same opportunity, different outcome. The difference wasn't money. The difference was interpretation. David saw extra income as permission to expand his present. Michael saw extra income as a chance to strengthen his future. One mindset consumed opportunity. The other multiplied it. At first, the results looked almost identical. That's what makes this lesson so important. The consequences weren't immediate. They were delayed. 1 year later, the difference was small. 3 years later, noticeable. 10 years later, life-changing. Most financial decisions work exactly like that. Small today, massive later. which means the future you're worried about isn't being created someday. It's being created now, quietly, through decisions that barely seem important. And that's actually good news, because it means you don't need a miracle. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need to suddenly double your income. You need something much more attainable, a different relationship with the money already passing through your hands. A relationship based on intention instead of reaction. Because here's the truth hiding beneath this entire conversation. Rich people aren't rich because they make more money. They're rich because more of their money survives long enough to work for them. That's the distinction. Income creates possibility. Behavior determines outcome. And behavior is driven by mindset. Which brings us all the way back to that uncomfortable sentence from the beginning. Some people double their income and stay broke. Now you know why. Because earning more money does not automatically create wealth. It simply magnifies whatever financial habits already exist. Strong habits become stronger. Weak habits become more expensive. The paycheck changes. The pattern remains, unless you change it. And maybe that's the most important insight of all. The goal isn't to become someone who earns more. The goal is to become someone who keeps more opportunity alive. Someone who understands that wealth isn't measured by what you spend. It's measured by how many future choices your money can create. Because at the end of the day, wealth is not a number. It's freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to wait. Freedom to walk away. Freedom to live on your terms. And every financial decision is either moving you closer to that freedom or further from it. The question is not whether more money will enter your life. The question is, what will happen when it does? If this changed the way you think about wealth, stay with us for the next video, because the biggest financial breakthroughs usually begin with a mindset shift that nobody sees coming.